If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
People love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, get in the zone. It's the Stone Zone. Here's Roger Stone.
Oh, it's good to be back with you. My name's Ken Matthews. I'm in for Roger Stone tonight in the Stone Zone on the Red Apple Audio Networks. The number's 800-848-9222. It is Friday Eve. I'm very excited, and I'm glad you're tuning in today. We have a lot to talk about today. It's been a very bumpy week, and if you follow me on other platforms or if you're familiar with my work, you know that I don't follow narratives, and no, I don't. And I'm getting a weird feeling about a few things that are going on out there, so I thought I would get you to weigh in on it, because you may have similar feelings or you might be able to explain some things. So what I'd like to do, since it's been 1 year and 1 week since President Donald Trump was elected for the third time. So he was elected a year ago. He hasn't been in office this third term quite a year. But I think we need to discuss how far off the rails things are going behind the scenes and in the administration. And I'm trying to figure out, is it a group of people that are trying to move Trump in a different direction? Is it just publicity? Or is Trump actually moving in a different direction? And he really doesn't have to respond to us anymore because he doesn't need the votes. Now, I know with some people that's probably sacrilege, but I don't worship Trump. I don't worship any politician. I supported Trump a lot. I campaigned for Trump. I interviewed his sons. I interviewed Laura. And for the most part, I'm still happy he's in. I mean, he is the quote unquote best choice we had, right? But I had a show last week. We were talking about this whole concept of the lesser of two evils, which I hate. I hate that whole concept because that's how the country ended up with a $37 trillion debt. And now we're changing the immigration policy, and we have some other issues that I think we need to discuss because we just kind of had our butt handed to us in this last election. We took a hit in Virginia. We took a hit in New York City. We took a hit in New Jersey. And I thought for sure because of that, and stay with me now, I thought this is it. There's an awakening now. There's an awakening in the conservative movement and the Republican Party, and they're going to say, see, we told you that you're drifting away from America first and make America great again. And you've kind of ticked off the base a little bit. Now, you're seeing all kinds of propaganda, and that's what it is. I know what propaganda is. I've been in the media for a long time. And most media, just like most news, most network news channels, are just designed to get you to think a certain way. So when someone comes out and starts asking questions or just saying things you may not have heard on Fox and Friends or wherever, some people just freak out. But we better step back a minute and look at what just happened in the last election, because if we stay on this current trajectory, we are going to get our collective butts handed to us in the midterms, and we may never come back from that. Because President Trump, just like in 2015, 2016, he had a window. And for all intents and purposes, I think what he accomplished in his first term, considering that the Republicans were against him, the Democrats were against him, the media was against him, it's amazing. Now, this time around, I would have hoped he would have picked some stronger players. That's just my opinion. You see, just like you, I, as a voter and an American citizen and someone that does research, we all have opinions. I know the opinion we're supposed to have. I watch the different news shows and I read the different trash newspapers just to see if I'm missing anything in my show prep or pile of preparation. But the reality is, to be a critical thinker, you're going to have to listen to different people, because we will not get out of this if we let the Republicans pull us into it. And if you recall, it was the Republicans that put us over the line, right, for Obamacare. It was the Republicans in Pennsylvania that put us over the line for mail-in ballots. It was the Republicans that in numerous states wanted background checks. And most recently, it was a Republican that said, maybe we ought to register guns. So while we're all doing the victory dance, which should have ended 11 months ago, because it was a great victory, it was an exciting time, we need to wake up. Because we have a Muslim commie in New York City. And look at the moron that got elected in Virginia after he threatened to kill people. You know what this tells you, or at least it tells me? It tells me that the voters are so fed up that they're willing to switch to anything. That's not where you want to be as a political party. The Republicans and the Democrats have a problem. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The biggest problem they have is with young voters. And they're not taking it seriously. The Republicans do what they always do. They still bring in some 400-year-old consultants and some people that used to work on the campaign for so-and-so. Those people should not be near Trump because they're rhinos, they're sellouts, and they're what most politicians are, opportunistic people that get into politics because that is the fast track to wealth if you can't make it in the private sector. The number's 800-848-9222. So it's been a year. How do you think Trump's doing? Why don't we give him a grade tonight? Now, I know some people, if you're on the Trump worship team, you know how churches have worship teams, you know? Yeah. And there's like a Trump worship team. So, and I get a dose of this because I do, like I said, I do a podcast every day. And, because I don't have any local, national or foreign sponsors, I can pretty much say whatever I want on that podcast. So people are always shocked when we give Trump a good grade for this or a bad grade for that. They go, what are you doing? You can't talk about Trump that way. I'm like, why? I'm the boss. You're the boss. There's 350 million of us. The minute you and I get up, if we got up tomorrow morning, every American in this country, and said, you know what? Let's not pay taxes for the next 2 months. We would change the face of the world. You realize that, right? You realize that this illusion of power is because we have allowed them to take it from us. So let's give Trump a grade. I mean, we need to have a MAGA update. And I thought tonight would be the perfect time. I was looking at some of the numbers. And again, I don't want to dwell on the New York mayor's race, but it's such a good example because nothing unfolded the way it could have or should have. And you really saw how politics works. You had 63% of the Jewish population in New York City vote for Cuomo, 33% of the Jewish population vote for the Islamist communist. 33% of the Jewish population voted for Mamdani. I know you heard that. Okay, good. Because the largest Jewish population on earth after Israel is New York City. And I have to ask myself, how in the heck, what was going on? Who did what and why that a third of the Jewish population of New York would elect a communist, an Islamist, and an independently wealthy trust fund baby whose mom, from what I understand, pays his rent? And yet it happened. So I don't mind diving deep into some of these topics, but I'm getting tired of some of the analysis by some of the old school, crusty people that are in some of these newspapers and on some of these network television shows. And they're missing, to me, one of the biggest characteristics of this race, the fact that a third of the Jewish population voted for Mamdani. That is really amazing. Now, you have to go a little deeper into that. You got to say, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. I mean, that just doesn't happen. Well, it did, and it does. 75% of voters under 30 voted for Mamdani in New York. Again, 75% of voters under 30 voted for an Islamist, communist, independently wealthy. Yeah. Think about that. That's like stuff that happens in the Middle East. Think about that. 75% of the young voters, 33% of the Jewish voters. See, that's the story. And that's happening all over the country. It happened in Virginia. It happened in New Jersey. It's happening all over the country because MAGA is losing young people. They had young people last year. They were on fire with young people. MAGA was reeling in the young people. I know so many young people that were fans of Trump, including both my sons in their 20s. And then what happens is we, the people, the voters, the supporters, we start evaluating you. And we start paying attention to things like, why are you making fun of us when we have serious issues? Kash Patel's a great example. And a note to Kash Patel, don't talk about your girlfriend anymore online. You sound like you're 16 years old. Don't do that. It makes you look small, Kash. It does. I get you got a tough job. You're the head of the FBI. I know what I'm supposed to say, but I didn't get the conservative TV media scripts. And I'm just telling you, as a guy over 60, I see you whining about your girlfriend on Twitter, and I think, what is this guy, 19 years old? Is he having a meltdown over his young girlfriend in public? That's not a good look for an FBI director. So what do you guys think? We have a lot more to talk about, by the way. 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. I'm Ken Matthews in the Stone Zone. Let's get a grade for Donald Trump's presidency so far. We'll be right back.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
He likes politics and he's a professional at the highest level. Roger Stone. Where's Roger?
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So the number's 800-848-9222. My name is Ken Matthews, and always a pleasure to be on the Red Apple Audio Network's guest hosting for where they need me from time to time. And Roger Stone tonight, the Stone Zone. It's great to be here. We're taking your grades. You're the teacher. You're the grade. You grade Donald Trump so far. We've gotten a few grades so far. We got a B plus. We got a C minus. And believe it or not, we got a D+. And before we go into some of that, let's take a step back and understand what happened last week. That was quite a beating. And in that election, keep in mind what's happening in California. It's an everyday battle. Every time Trump pushes what I believe are the right policies, California rears up and pushes back. It's back and forth and back and forth. And meanwhile, okay, we're still in Ukraine. And I think one of the most under-discussed things is how the MAGA people and how the young people feel about the Trump administration's involvement in Israel and Gaza. So as long as we keep ignoring Ukraine, which we should have been out of, we shouldn't have even been in there in 2014, but we should have been out of Ukraine. We should not have the investment or boots on the ground, which we do now in Israel. We should not be off the coast of Venezuela. I get the whole drug thing. That was great. How did we go from that? How did we go from, if you try to bring our drugs into the country, we'll blow you out of the water? Yes, I am with you, Mr. President. Close those borders. Start deporting people every day, all day. I want illegal foreign nationals out of our country. If someone tries to bring in fentanyl, boom. Who's one of the biggest offenders in fentanyl? Well, China, of course. And President Trump just was working on a deal with China, and something that just happened with China was they agreed, at least this is what some of the media says, that they agreed to crack down on fentanyl. And you do know that China runs the whole global fentanyl thing. Whether stuff comes out of the Middle East or whether it comes out of Mexico, China's got its finger on it. In fact, China was flying to Mexico and training the cooks in Mexico for the cartels so they can get fentanyl and they could expand their market, because everybody on earth knows, at least until a year ago, the easiest borders to cross was into America. And that's the greatest market in the world. It's the greatest legal market and it's the greatest illegal market, because just like human trafficking, our government is not doing enough to stop the demand. So everybody knows, if you can get your product, whether it's illegal or not, or legal, America's still the greatest market. There's no argument there. But little by little, I'm not getting the America First vibe. What about you? What do you think? Are we still America First, or are we slipping a little bit? And is President Trump compromising with some of the nitwits in his cabinet? 800-848-9222 in the Stone Zone.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is good to see you, as always. The number's 800-848-9222. My name is Ken Matthews, in for Roger Stone tonight in the Stone Zone. Always a pleasure to be invited back on the Red Apple Audio Networks. You can follow me all over social media, but my website is kenmatthewsmedia.com. And if you go on Twitter or Facebook or any one of those things, and you want to troll me or comment, if you don't get a chance to call in tonight, by all means do it. We're taking grades on Donald Trump's administration. Not so much Trump, but the whole thing, you know. I've been frustrated by Bondi and Kash Patel. And, you know, it's interesting because as I observe Dan Bongino, I think he is really trapped on what to do. That's just me observing him as an older man. Looking at him, I'm thinking, there's a guy who bounced into this job like, we are gonna kick some butt. Yeah! And then someone took him aside and said, okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't investigate that. Don't do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to pardon them. And he's got to be livid, but because he comes from a background of law enforcement and he's a patriot, he's got to be frustrated about, whose orders do I follow? And I will say one of the things, there's several things that I think are turning off different demographics, each age group, just like with the Democrats. And I think right now the Democrats and the Republicans are suffering from young people on both sides that are fed up. And it's because everybody is, and it's not just an age thing, but part of it is, okay? We're tired of seeing people in for 20, 30 years. It's ridiculous now, okay? And then every time someone who's young and goes against the grain tries to get into the fold, whether it's Democrat or Republican, everybody pulls together and crushes them. It's kind of like how Republicans and Democrats are pulling together to make sure that America never finds out all the truth about Epstein. Now, the people in Washington, the people at these large media outlets and independently wealthy people in media, of which there are plenty, they probably don't care about that. But I can tell you, as someone who's just a middle-class dude who's lived around the country a little bit and actually still shops at Kmart, and sometimes I actually enjoy it, I'll admit it. Yes, the other day I needed something, and I got it there. Yeah. So now I ticked off some more people about the Walmart thing. Did I say Kmart? I said, I don't know if I say Walmart or Kmart sometimes because I used to work at Kmart. Do you guys remember Kmart? Remember Kmart? Before Walmart devoured it? Oh, I used to love it because my first name is Ken. I thought, look, Mom, Kmart. Yeah. Anyway, the number's 800-848-9222. So people are frustrated about that, really frustrated about Ukraine. A lot of us believe that the Trump administration kind of flipped on Ukraine. We work round the clock. It looks like the media and neocons and conservatives work around the clock to get me afraid of Putin every day. And if I question it as an adult who's been around long enough to read more history books than probably most dingbats in the newsrooms have, when I question it and say, do we really need to be worried this much about Putin right now? Aren't you more concerned about this or this or this? Then they say, what are you, a communist? Are you a Putin fan? No, I'm not a Putin fan. I'm a voter. And without my money, you'd have nothing. Nothing. If the voters of the United States stop paying taxes, there would be no foreign diplomacy. There would be no jobs in government. It would cease. And I do want to point out that during the shutdown, which hasn't officially ended yet because it still has to go through another process, I think it was it earlier yesterday or earlier today, and then things will start opening up slowly but surely. It was senators and congressmen that could still get paid. Now, some did not. You should find out if yours did or did not. Now, some of the people that I supported, I called them up and asked them point blank. They know I'm a pain in the butt. They know it. They know when they see my number on the caller ID, I'm not going to call up and say, hey, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. And I called several of them and said, please tell me you're not getting a paycheck now. Please tell me you are not getting a paycheck when air traffic controllers have to wait. And they weren't. You could actually sign a waiver or the slip of paper during a shutdown and say, hold my pay until everybody else gets paid. So there's a fun thing tomorrow. Call up and see if your congressman or your senator continue to get their fat salary on top of their portfolio, like the one Nancy Pelosi has. What did she make? Was it 1,600? Or 100 and I think it was 1,600% growth or something. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. I mean, she's walking out of there almost a quarter trillionaire. You know, I mean, Nancy Pelosi, what incredible! She's an incredible woman. She's so incredible. She's absolutely incredible. So something else Trump just did today, and I want to get your thoughts on it. He is defending his plan. He talked with Laura Ingraham the other night on Fox. He talked about offering 600,000 Chinese students visas. And my first response was, how is that America first? And that was Laura's first response, which was a great question. How is that American first? And then Trump kind of bent it all weird and said, well, you know, that's how we support the universities. I mean, if we don't have all these foreign students coming in, you know, some of these universities are going to go out of business. So what? Why don't we put American students first? Now, see, that puts you into that uncomfortable position where you have to say, well, where are we going to find Americans as smart as the Chinese? See, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that you can train a lot of people up to do a lot of great things. Certain people like to train certain people more than other people. But what if we took the foreign national student population from this point on and just kind of froze it for a minute until we got the American student population caught up? I'm just throwing it out there. That does not seem America first to me. I thought Trump would have said no more student visas from the following countries until, and then put a date on it. Just like there should be no more immigration into this country, period, until we balance our budget. If we balance our budget, we get out of debt, welcome aboard, come on in. Think about it. Would you behave like this in a private business? If you were $38 trillion in debt and people said, keep the doors open. Well, we need to close the doors. People are coming in. They're taking stuff. They're breaking stuff. We don't have the right training. What do we do? Well, leave the doors open, though. No. Shut all the doors. Shut it all down. Tell the world, hey, we're making America great again. We're America first. We're putting the American people first, the American budget first. Everything is going to be first. And I haven't seen much of that in the last 11 months. Have you? Let's go to Vince. Vince, you're on the Roger Stone Show. Welcome. Oh, we just have Susan. Susan, welcome.
Oh, yes. Hi.
How you doing?
Oh, well, I'm doing great. And, you're bringing up a lot of great things that we have to keep on top of, like the Chinese students and many things. But I think that I look at it in the big picture. For instance, that we've had our first surplus. September 2025, we had $198 billion surplus.
Where did that come from?
Well, the economy grew at almost 4%, which hasn't been done.
I don't know if it didn't. Yeah, but unfortunately, it didn't grow for the middle class. I mean, a candy bar costs $4 now. I mean, it didn't grow for the middle class. A bottle of grape juice, milk, eggs, plywood, tires, everything's up. So, yeah, I think that I do believe that smart investors grew their wealth because Trump is a brilliant businessman. But I'm trying to figure out, well, let me give you an example. Remember he was going to give us Doge checks? Remember back when Elon was in there and he said, everybody's going to get a check from Doge. We're saving so much money, right?
But now he's saying it's from the tariffs that we're going to get, a rebate.
Yeah, and he said it's going to be $2,000 from the tariffs, but bad news, he's about $40 billion off on that. I did the math on it. He also started changing it from we're going to get a check to a dividend. So a dividend, what is that going to be? Is that going to be like a gift card to the bookstore or what? So this is what I was talking about. If he would have come in, if they would have got all that Doge money and said right off the bat, every small businessman with a family of 4 is going to get this, but that's not happening. And that's why I think he's losing the momentum that he had at the beginning. What do you think?
Well, wait until the tax cuts come in. The tax cuts and the refunds that people are going to get in the beginning of the year from the big, beautiful bill. We have to just he walked into the decimation that's been going on between, Obama and Biden and all the corruption.
I do hear you. I do hear you on that. Yeah, I'm 1,000, and I have to move on to another call, but I want to thank you for calling. But what you just said at the end, I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, Donald Trump walked into some of the biggest dumpster fires in the history of this country, and he did it as a non-politician. And that's why I still support him. That's why I supported him in 2015, way before anybody else that you hear talking about him now supporting him. I can almost guarantee it. I was on the radio in 2015 endorsing Trump, and people thought I was crazy. I remember getting in a debate saying Trump could beat Ted Cruz into the ground in a race, and people thought I was a lunatic. I said the Bushes will never win a race again. People thought I was a lunatic. So I get that part. They wanted to see an outsider come in with a brain who knows how to use a calculator, and in the case of Trump, he knows how to use construction equipment. He knows how to build things. He knows how to negotiate. All those things are great, but I'm telling you from someone who's on the street a lot. I don't talk to pollsters. I don't respect most pollsters. I think they prostitute themselves out. And just like any other surveys, they're designed to get you to buy a car or vote a certain way or eat a certain cereal or buy a certain beer. But I just ask people, and people are saying, when are we going to get the truth about Epstein? When are we going to get out of foreign wars all together? Why are we in Ukraine? Why are we in Gaza? These are questions that people ask me and that we try to figure out. And the big one, if you really want to know the big one, among young Republicans, some of the smartest young Republicans I have ever met were in TPUSA. I never spoke at their event, but I shared a stage with a couple of them years ago, and they were much more successful than I. They are wondering why the Charlie Kirk cover-up. Why is it that the fact that there are young people out there, not only on and offline, but in general, questioning Charlie Kirk's assassination, and the best that Kash Patel could do, or the best that our administration can do, is say, you guys need to shut up and concentrate on something else. Well, you've been saying to us, shut up and concentrate on something else since they blew Kennedy's head off in the car. Remember that? You're still saying shut up on that one. See, this is the problem. Now, it's too late for the baby boomers, right? It's really too late for us. The people that are going to change the party, the people that are going to change the direction of this country are the same age as the men. Everybody talks about the founding fathers. Yeah, they were brilliant. And a lot of them were 30, 40, 50 years old or younger. Some of those men fought in the Revolutionary War. They were in their 20s and they were commanding platoons and squads or whatever the heck they called them back then. So the days of we gotta get all these 70s and 80s and 60-somethings together, except me. I'm over 60. I want you to listen to me. That's a little joke there. Instead of depending on, well, what do all the old people say? When I say old, I'm not talking about the age so much. I'm talking about I am so sick of hearing from Frank Luntz and Karl Rove. Seriously. Karl Rove said twice. He said in 2016, Trump would never win. And then he said in 2020, Biden won and it was a secure election. So I can't listen to that. Because I disagree with it 1,000%. So we need to look at the young people and we need to say, what do you guys think is important? Do you guys think you should get a $2,000 rebate back off the tariffs? Do you guys think you should get help with your small business? Do you think no more foreign nationals should get a penny for anything until we get this $38 trillion under control? See, I do. And what we're getting out of the Republican Party now, it sounds like Rhino, Mitt Romney, Chris Christie talking points, which kind of get me sick to my stomach. But anyway, I'm in for Roger Stone tonight. My name's Ken Matthews, and the number's 800-848-9222. We'll be right back.
But The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. And together, we turn great ideas into reality by accessing our networks, our experience, and the best of ourselves to make a difference. Around the world, Rotary brings leaders together to build new friendships and to solve problems. Like in Austria, where generations work side by side to build sustainable housing and community centers. In India, volunteers run a mobile blood bank to help provide a steady blood supply for their local community. And in Taiwan, people are working hard to get vulnerable citizens the support and services they need. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. Take action with us. Find out more at Rotary.org/action.
For 248 years, proud patriots have defended our freedom as American soldiers. One of the best ways to honor their service is through the Army Historical Foundation's Registry of the American Soldier. Open to all Army veterans, this free registry allows veterans or a loved one on their behalf to create a permanent public record of their service. No soldier's story should be forgotten. Learn more at armyhistory.org. That's armyhistory.org. Sponsored by Army Historical Foundation, Inc.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
Roger Stone, who's a one of the smartest political minds. Roger Stone was persecuted. People forget he's actually a brilliant political analyst.
Now, get in the zone. It's the Stone Zone. Here's Roger Stone.
The number is 800-848-9222. So we have to examine that. I'm glad that I think it was Judy that called. I can't remember her name, that we were talking, and she brought up some interesting points. And what happens is we get happy, we get excited, and then there's people around Trump that take advantage of it. And that's something that's always bothered me. And I don't know if you're like this, but don't you get kind of, I know it's almost childish when you see something or you supported something long before anybody else did. I know it's silly, it's petty. I get it. But, you know, being one of the first people on the Trump train and meeting Trump then, and I remember they said Pennsylvania was they'd never vote, it would never go red, and seeing all that happen in 2016, it was a very exciting time. And what happened in 2016 was, it wasn't just the Republican thing, it was shaking up the entire system. And you had a lot of debate, and that's where, God bless him, the late Charlie Kirk came in, and Turning Point, and young people like Candace and others. You had such dialogue among young people. There was a synergy on campus. And sure, there were a lot of radicals, and they were protesting, and they were disagreeing. But there were a lot of conservatives that were debating and successfully winning. It was a very exciting time historically and politically. And I think what happened is, during COVID and during Corn Pop's reign, Joe Biden, who is this is another thing that I think, especially Rhino Republicans or lifetime Republicans don't really take seriously. And that's how much those of us that supported Trump wanted to see the Bidens brought to justice. The fact that Hunter walked, and James walked, and Frank walked, and Joe walked, and Carol started to get investigated, and then she didn't. And, you know, we see this stuff, and we start saying, wait a minute, are these folks no different than anybody else? They're just going to throw us one or two bones, which are great. I mean, there are some good things about the economy, but at the end of the day, if you want to be American first, you don't hand out work visas or student visas like candy. You don't do it. I think you should have shut down the border. They shut down the border 3 or 4 times in the history of this country. They shut the border down completely. They didn't let anybody in until there was more assimilation and economic stability. So I'm sure there's someone in this audience that knows President Trump. Call him up. Have him call me. You can call me on my cell. 800-848-9222. Thanks again to Roger for letting me fill in tonight in the Stone Zone. And have a wonderful Friday. I'll see you next time on the Red Apple Audio Networks.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
What the heck is going on here?
if you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth. Download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
At BeBullish.com.